Hello, everybody. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend. My name is Ryan, and I am the Laser Noob. So today, before we get started on our next project, I want to go over a couple of things with you as far as doing some regular small maintenance to keep your lens clean on your D1. So I see a lot on Facebook, people have these big giant spots or holes in their laser lens. And really what you got to do is every few hours that you spend with your laser burning, a lot of dust or fumes and all that stuff, they all get collected on that lens and you'll end up getting a spot and it's going to degrade your laser power. It's going to be out of focus. You're going to have issues burning through even like 3mm basswood. So what I want to do today is I'm going to show you real quick before we get to the project how to clean your laser lens. It is extremely simple. The first thing we're going to need, isopropyl alcohol. The second thing that we are going to need, cotton swabs. So you don't have to disconnect your laser fully. You can leave it plugged in, turn the power off. That way you're not messing with that little Molex plug on the back of the laser because those wires are super, super thin. I got mine off, but I'm just going to show you guys. Okay, so this is my 10-watt laser right here. All right, I have already had this issue. It wasn't too awful bad. But it was bad enough that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and change it. So I got on Facebook, and there's a guy called on Facebook on a lot of the XTool groups and other groups. His name is Mike Stott, S-T-O-T-T. And his email I'm going to link down here in the description of the video. So he sells replacement lens kits, and they're relatively inexpensive. It's fast shipping. I mean, I got like 10 lenses, all that. No need to go to XTool and spend $45 to get the whole kit. You take that ring out, you take the lens out, put the new lens in, little rubber O-ring, screw it back on, Bob's your uncle. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, it really is easy. The only thing you got to do is when you take that lens cover off, XTool has decided they're going to take some CA glue or some other sort of adhesive, and they have glued that backer ring in this little guy. So when you take it off, you'll see this little guy right here with the little grooves in it. So that's what holds your lens in place. So they were gluing those in. So you take that off, put it in a little cup with some acetone for about half an hour and let it break up that CA glue. And then Mike will send you a little tool that will unscrew that after you've soaked it. And then you can screw it right back in, or you can use the O-rings that come with it. So, but I'm going to show you, I mean, this is, when I decided to change mine, it was not real bad. You can see that little tiny dot right there. Mine actually was not bad because I clean it on a regular basis. Okay, so all we're going to do, we're going to clean it real quick. We're just going to take some alcohol, put it on a Q-tip, shake off the excess. Then I'm going to take my lens right here. I'm going to gently rub it. Get all that gunk off there. Okay? Then I'm going to take the other side. Gently rubbing it. This is not, you don't need to put a lot of effort into this. Gently rub it. Get all that wet stuff off there. Now, this is going to dry here in a couple minutes. I'll take another Q-tip, another dry one, and just wipe off any streaks that might be there, just being real gentle with it. And I'm going to plug it back in, and we're going to go. All right? We can start burning right now. So, like I said, every 4 or 5 hours of burning, clean that lens. All right? It's going to save you a lot of heartache in the future. So, with that, let's get into our next project. Let's get to work. Okay, so I just want to get this out of the way for full transparency. I do not know Mike Stott. I ordered some lenses from him. He's got a great kit that he does. It's extremely affordable. He's got fast shipping. If you're overseas, you can contact him. I don't know if he's figured that out or what, because I'm not overseas. But yeah, you don't mention my name or anything, you're not going to get any kind of discount. You'll pay the same price that I pay. It is what it is. He does good work. I'm trying to throw some business his way and help promote people, that are doing great work. So, and that's it. So that's where our relationship ends. So with that being said, I hope everybody had a really great Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving was pretty good. My kids were home. Day after Thanksgiving was a fantastic day because I became Grandpa Laser Noob. And there is my newest grandson day after Thanksgiving. So what I am going to do today is I'm going to take this picture. We're going to upload it into Imag-R. We're going to process it with Imag-R software. We're going to download it. We're going to put it in LightBurn, and we're going to burn this on a 300 by 300 millimeter piece of basswood. Okay. So I've seen on Facebook, people are always asking somebody, hey, what are your settings for this? What are your settings for that? The first thing I got to say is, number one, the power on my 10 watt D1 is not going to be the same probably as the power on your D-Watt 10 one or 10 watt D1. Lasers are just different. Mine might be a little bit or a little more powerful than what yours is, or vice versa. So the best thing I can tell you to do is to take some basswood and just start burning some test images and get your speed and your power settings. XTool has a page on their website for material settings, and that gives you a good start point, and you can make your adjustments from there. But if you're going to somebody else with a 10 watt laser, asking what their settings are, they very well may not work for you. So I fully encourage you to do your own material tests on everything, glass, wood, whatever you're going to do. Okay. So I got that out of the way. Now, so with Imag-R, I'm going to process this. I'm going to download it. We're going to get it going. I already know what my settings are. I've done some basswood before. But if you've never used Imag-R, it's very simple. I talked about this in my last video. It's very easy to use. They have a free version. They have a paid version. I have a discount code. It's in the description down below. You can use that for 15% off if you need the paid version. But please, if you got good internet, use the free version, and it works wonderful as well. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to take this picture. We're going to open up Imag-R, and we're going to go ahead and see what the settings are and get going on this project. So we're going to take this. We're going to open up Imag-R. I'm going to go up here, upload. This is on my desktop. I'm going to go all images, and let's see, image 543 is the one I want. So I've got a 300 millimeter piece of basswood. One of the things that I learned from the guys at Imag-R is don't process your image at one size and then reduce it or enlarge it later on. Whatever you need, whatever size you need, is the size you need to have Imag-R process it at. So I have some pins in today holding my wood flat. I always have that because where I live, it's humid and my wood warps. Okay. So it's 300 millimeters, but what I want to do is I want to go 275 by 275. That gives me a ring around that where I can either put a frame or something else. Plus, I'm not worried about my air assist nozzle hitting on the pins, because it will hit the pins, because the air assist that I have is the XTool, and it is very long and comes way down. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to crop this image, and I want what I want is these two numbers to be as close as possible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my measurement to millimeters. Okay. And I'm going to try and get this down to as close to 1411 as I can. 1412 is usually where I get it. I'm just not, I always jump quite a bit. So 1 millimeter difference is not going to make a big deal. Then I can take that and I can position this wherever I want. I want my grandson's head to be in the middle of this. So I'm going to move it over here and put him front and center, maybe a little bit off, get grandma's face in there a little bit. But that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. And now there's our image. Okay, so this is the unprocessed. This is going to be the processed image over here on the right. So now I'm going to resize this. And like I said, I want 275 by 275. So I'm going to go 275. Now, I want to make sure that this is checked, my fixed aspect ratio. If that is not checked, whatever number you change is going to change that number and leave the other number, all right, which will make your picture either stretched or squished or whatever. So that leaves me less, about a quarter of a millimeter difference in this, which is great. So I'm going to change my DPI to 300. It's going to make for a very long burn, but I want this to look good because I want it to last for a very, very long time. I want my grandson, when he's older, to be able to see this, you know, hanging on his wall, whatever. So anyway, we've got our DPI set to 300 and we're going to click OK. Great. So now we're 275 millimeters by 274 by 0.74. So just over a quarter of a millimeter. That's like nothing. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our add material. We're going to hit diode and we're going to go to Norton Wood and hit OK. So there's our new processed image. It's not going to look this grainy when you do it. I mean, if you zoom in a little bit, I mean, it does get a little smoother, but it doesn't look as rough when you do it. It's hardly ever going to look exactly like this. So what we're going to do with that, we've got to make sure our width is height, our height is right, our DPI is right. We've already cropped it, our contrast, brightness, and gamma. I'm just going to leave. I want to see how this is going to look without changing anything on Imag-R. So now I'm going to take that photo and I'm going to go ahead and save it. Click OK. Now I'm going to open up LightBurn and I'm going to grab that image, go back up to my desktop. I'm going to go to all supported files and scroll down a little bit. And there it is. Image 0543 300 DPI processed Norton Wood. And we're going to click open. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to see how long this is going to take. I have a feeling it's going to take 5 or 6 hours at 300 DPI. There's a lot of black in this picture. It's going to do a lot of burning, a lot of shading. There's very little white. So we're going to right click it and we're going to hit preview. And that's not bad. 4 hours, 47 minutes, and 23 seconds. So I do have a fast white space scan turned on. So when it's not burning, it will go up a little bit. You see how I am at, let's look at cuts and layers. You see, I'm burning this at 50 speed at 42.5 power. So 50 millimeters a second at 42.5% power. So my fast white space scan is turned to 65. You don't want to have these huge differences in numbers between your fast white space scan and your actual speed, because not only it's going to pick up real fast, it's got to stop real fast to go back down to that 50. So, and I don't want it jerking around or messing up, because I really don't want to mess up a 5-hour burn here. So you'll see that I've got my fast white space scan is enabled. It's at 65 millimeters a second. So whenever it's not burning, it's going to go 15 millimeters a second faster. So, and it makes about 20 minutes difference on this photo. So I'm going to click OK. now I've already got set up. I'm going to click go to home. I am home. Now I'm going to go to origin. All right. And we're going to turn the camera on. Okay. So we should be set up. I've used my move panel and got it moved and set user origin. You can see here I'm at user origin over here. And I'm starting in the top left corner. So now I should be able to frame this. And if you see my pins, I've got my air assist on. The air assist nozzle is very long on the XTool air assist, and it will hit these pins. So I made it smaller than the 300 strictly for the fact that I have to have these pins in here to hold this down to keep from warping, okay, or keep from bowing. So I made it 275, so it's in 12.5 and it's down 12.5, which makes up my 25 millimeter difference from the side and the top. All right, so I should be able to frame this and everything should come out great, hopefully. Okay, so I took this little guy out right over here real quick because the offset from the crosshairs and the nozzle makes that nozzle go off, and it's probably going to hit that. So I just took it off so we can frame it. Let's go frame. Oh yeah, it would have nailed it. But that's a good frame. That looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. Just barely on there, but I got everything set. Everything's nice and tight. So with that, let's go ahead and start this burn and see how it goes. Okay, so teachable moment. Tip number one when you're working with a laser and all sorts of cords, don't be a dumbass. So here's the issue I had. So when I downloaded the first image from Imag-R and put it into LightBurn, it looked great, but what was happening is that it was actually not burning the black, and it was burning the whites, which made like my wife's hand like really super dark. So what I did is I started again. I went back into Imag-R. Okay, so I went into Imag-R, same photo, same settings. The only thing I did was I selected inverse image, and that brought it back. So now you can actually see the hand, and you can see like the wrinkles of the knuckle, and it's burning it correctly. So everything was going great. I've always got my glasses on when I'm in here and the laser's going, but what I learned is a red and purple cord that are plugged into your computer kind of look the same when your glasses are on. So instead of unplugging my phone from the computer, I unplug the laser. we're starting all over again. So you guys will see that, there's a couple of spots where I started to burn, stopped, put in a new piece of wood. 2 reasons. 1, inverse image. 2, dumbass. So yeah, don't be a dumbass. Let's see how this finishes up. All right, so after a couple of mess ups, one, because I forgot to click the invert button in Imag-R because it's a portrait, right? So I'm gonna do invert. I forgot to click that. So I stopped it, put a new piece of wood on, everything was going great, had my glasses on, thought I was unplugging my phone. I actually unplugged the laser. So put a new piece of wood on. So try number 3 with using Imag-R. I didn't change any settings. So all I did was take my photo, I cropped it, so everything was square, and then I changed, to, I changed the size, and went 275 millimeters by 275 millimeters, so it was square, okay? But once it did that, and I selected Norton Wood, once I did that, okay, and you click invert, I didn't change contrast, I didn't change brightness, and I didn't change gamma. Those are the settings that were in Imag-R. I mean, that's the default settings, 0, 0, and 1 on gamma. So without changing anything, this is how the photo turned out. That's a beautiful grandbaby. So anyway, guys, so like I said, if you're doing photos, stuff like that, you want to do white tile, you want to do glass, Imag-R is going to process your image. I mean, it's hands down the best way to do it. I mean, there may be another way to do it out there. I've tried it without Imag-R. I mean, it can't even touch what Imag-R does with the photos. So it was like I said, it was about 6 hours or so to get that done, because it's a big image, it's a big piece of wood. I'm only using a 10 watt. It'd be much faster with a 20 watt, way slower with a 5, but if you're working with a diode laser, man, I mean, Imag-R, that's all you can do. So guys, again, happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Sorry we all have to go back to work tomorrow. And if you don't have to go back to work, I don't want to talk to you anymore. All right? So you guys have a great week coming up, and we'll catch you in the next video.